Hey everyone, back again. Welcome back to another video review. Hope you all enjoyed my Halloween special, and just and overall it was pretty awesome. So this time, everyone, we're going to be taking a look at the much anticipated Thomas and Friends new special, King of the Railway. Now, a couple things before we begin. First of all, I wanted to review this special a little bit earlier than now, but there was a few things, including my recent videos, that prevented me from doing any sort of review on this special. But I couldn't because of other things, and obviously the recent videos. And the other thing is, there is going to be some spoilers in this. So for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet, but have seen, I don't know, the clips or the trailers of the movie, then by all means just pause the video at this point. So yes, King of the Railway. Wow, what a movie. It was awesome. So the movie starts off with Thomas and Percy playing around with some freight cars at Brandon Docks, and as they're playing, one of the crates falls over, revealing knight in shining armor. Percy thinks that's alive, but Thomas states that it's not. And then we get a backstory on Ulfstead Castle and King Godred, which I will mention about Godred at the end of the video. And pretty much, he was a king who once ruled Sodor, and his crown got stolen, and it's never been seen since. Going back to the present day, we find out that the Earl of Sodor is coming back to Sodor after a lengthy absence around the world. So the engines are sent to be washed down, and then they meet up at Nafford, where Spencer arrives with the Earl of Sodor, and the Earl states that that he was going to meet Millie around tea time to talk about a few things. So pretty much the Earl leaves, everyone's wondering who Millie was, and everything just pretty much goes bananas right there. So then Thomas is sent to take some cars from Brandon Docks to the Earl's estate, who is Sir Robert Normandy, by the way, and pretty much meets Millie, who's a narrow gauge engine, who long ago was locked away in the shed, and also has ladies' whistle sound. Pretty cool. So they meet up. Millie speaks French-speaking engine. That's kind of cool. And pretty much Sir Robert Normandy, or the Earl of Sodor rather, pretty much states that in order to complete his collection, he wants to find King Godred's crown. So pretty much it goes on from there, and then later we get everyone's obviously working hard to get the castle on time, or to get the castle restored on time, and that's pretty much the Earl's goal, is to get Ulfstead Castle restored in time, so that visitors could go and watch, or to go and see his collection and stuff. So then later Spencer comes back from Sodor, who pretty much challenges Gordon to a race the next morning, but then Spencer cheats and meets up with the Earl, who asks him to take some stone and stone and other things to the Earl's estate. Apologies about my language, guys. I know this is a Thomas special, but you know, I don't usually swear in these special videos. So pretty much Spencer does that, and then all the engines are wondering what's going on. Then Toby comes in and says that Henry's broken down. He bursts his safety valve, and that he tells Percy that Sir Thomas has asked him to take a long freight train to the Earl's estate. Percy does that and then meets up with James, who pretty much says that Sir Topham had told him, and then they get into an argument, and then finally Sir Topham had arrives and says that all three engines, Thomas, Percy, and James, are to take the special train to the Earl's estate. So they pretty much take the train to the Earl's estate where it's being under construction with new rails and obviously all that stuff. They meet up with Jack, the front loader, and states that they are restoring Ulstead Castle. And pretty much from there, they pretty much unload everything, and then the Earl tells Thomas to take a big crate to the Soda Steamworks to Victor. So pretty much all the engines, including the Earl, take the crate to the Steamworks, and where it's open, and we see a very old steam engine named Stephen. And Stephen looks pretty cool. We'll talk about him later. So pretty much they meet Stephen, he introduces himself, he's all rotten, he's all, like, he looks like his framework is all rotten, his wooden boiler, the weird looking funnel and everything. And pretty much Thomas, Percy, and James are excited, and then that night they tell the other engines at the sheds, who plan to meet Stephen next day. And the next day, Henry's safety valve's still not working, so Emily takes him to the Steamworks, where they meet Stephen, and then all the other engines meet up with Stephen, and Stephen tells his story about his background, about, like, the engines, like, they were powered, they didn't have engines back in his time. They were powered by horses, then they had races, and overall, the backstory was pretty awesome. So Stephen tells his backstory pretty much, and obviously he used to work in the coal mines and in the docks, and he once pulled 4 cars at the same time. Pretty innovative, and obviously he's based off of the actual Stephenson's rocket, one of the very first steam engines ever to be built. And so all the engines are happy to hear the story. They head back to work, and then Percy stays behind, and Stephen states that it's okay to ask a question because you just want to know someone. So after that, all the other engines are just busy at work again, trying to get busy on time, and then Stephen is restored to his former glory and obviously Stephen looks pretty awesome. New funnel, new boiler, a weird looking tender or coal thing or tender thing. And wow, Stephen looked awesome. So pretty much everyone sees him in his new form, and then Sir Topham Hatt sees this and just tells everyone to go back to work, except for Thomas, James, and Percy, who want to help. Who states that the Earl Soder needs help with his estate, and then as they're leaving, Thomas wants to tell Stephen his special job that the Earl has in mind for him, but James and Percy say no, don't tell him, but Thomas tells him anyways, which leads to Stephen going on a tangent, which we'll get to in a minute. So after that have after that mess, we pretty much have I'm trying to think here. We pretty much everyone's obviously back at work after that, and then later on we find that later on we've so pretty sorry guys, now I remember. So pretty much what happens after that is that Thomas, Percy, and James are assigned to pretty much construct a new roof. And as they're putting in the final roof beam, Percy gets a little too excited, and the beam collapses. Everyone's all covered in dust. James complains about it. Obviously, that's his personality. So then, after they get the new beam on, James asks the Earl of Soder not once, but twice, if he can go to the washdown after the job's done. And he says, sure. And then we find out the Earl's surprise, and the Earl's surprise is that Stephen's going to be a tour guide for the visitors at Ulstead Castle. and then he states that Thomas can now go tell Stephen his new job. Meanwhile, Stephen is wondering what his new job is. Victor says he doesn't know what it is, so he pretty much goes. He first goes to. He tells Victor about it. Meanwhile, Gordon and Spencer are having another race, resuming from the last race, and then Gordon almost crashed into Stephen as he's on the same line as he is, and Spencer states he wins the race again. So that pretty much upsets Gordon. Then Stephen arrives at Brendan Docks, where he meets Diesel and Paxton, and he asks Cranky about his new job. He doesn't, again, same answer, don't know what it is. So then Stephen then goes to the Blue Mountain Quarry and asks the narrow gauge engines about his new job, and states about his origins, that he could pull 4 cars at the same time. So they do that, and it obviously doesn't work out for him. And they keep on coupling one at a time until finally they get Stephen to pull one heavy car full of stone and slate and stuff. And then Stephen goes as fast as he can, and then he almost crashes himself off the rails. So then he asks if there are any other old mines, and Skarloey says that there's an old mine at the bottom of Ulstead Castle. So Stephen goes there. He goes there to the old mine, while all the other engines are busy with their other jobs, trying to get Ulstead Castle to pretty much, get everything to work on time. So back at Ulstead Castle, Thomas and Percy and James are obviously finished with their job. And James heads to the washdown. Well, the Earl realizes that there's trucks of stone that need to be taken to wherever it needs to go. As James is getting his washdown, we see 2 streams of flashes passing by him and Hero. Gordon and Spencer are still continuing the race again when they see the 2 flashes stop at the signal. And those 2 flashes turn out to be 2 new streamlined engines, Connor and Caitlin. They look pretty awesome. They are awesome. They asked to go for a race, and Gordon and Spencer decline as they have other jobs to do, and pretty much Connor and Caitlin leave them. Very surprised. Back at the mine, Stephen is at the mine entrance, which is blocked off by wooden planks. Stephen states that, is not useful anymore, and starts to get disappointed. Then the Earl says that he'll need to call Stop and Hat to get James to pretty much ask for James to come back to help with the load. But Thomas insists that he and Percy can take the load on his own. Percy says that it'd be best that one of them goes on the front of the train to take the train to wherever it needs to go. And then the trucks start playing their old tricks. They go down the old siding, and then Stephen sees this, and Stephen just pretty much charges into the mine, and the entrance is blocked off by the rubble that he disturbs, and causing the trucks to crash like a usual Tommy or Bachmann or whatever kind of set that we have. And then Thomas and Percy rescue the trucks, and obviously the resulting incident causes Stephen to lose his funnel while he's calling for help. Meanwhile, the engines are busy again with their jobs and stuff, and then as soon as nighttime falls, they realize that Stephen is missing. And so the next morning, Thomas wakes everyone up early to find Stephen. So Tom had asks what's going on, and the Earl. And then as Tom had explained, asking for answers, the Earl arrives and says that Stephen's missing, and Thomas asks if he, James, and Percy can find Stephen on the rescue mission, as well as the search and rescue guys. And so Tom says yes, and he obviously has the other engines doing their jobs for them while they find Stephen. So pretty much they go looking all over the place for Stephen, and then they pretty much give up at this point. When Percy suggests to Thomas that they should go look at the old mine, in the mine, Stephen is obviously looking, is pretty much yelling for help, whistling for help. He goes all over the place. He pretty much comes at a dead end. And then he causes a rock slide, which reveals a chest. What's in that chest? Well, we'll find out soon enough. So pretty much Thomas goes to the mine, and Stephen whistles to signal that he's in the mine, as Thomas notices his funnel, and pretty much Thomas figures out that Stephen's inside. He goes back to the castle. He gets Jack. Jack pretty much removes the rubble from the castle, or from the mine, sorry. Thomas enters the mine, rescues Stephen. They celebrate, and then as Stephen's about to tell him what he found in the mine, the supports under the track collapse, and pretty much Thomas and Stephen's lives are on the line, or in peril, and Jack is able to brace the track with his bucket, and both Thomas and Stephen are rescued, and they pretty much get set for the next day. Next day, everyone is all spiffy, or not spiffy, everyone's all dressed in royal colors, and pretty much the Earl announces that the Elfstead Castle will be opening soon, and reveals King Godred's crown, the very thing that Stephen found in the mine. And at the end of the movie, the Earl has Connor, well, not has, but he states that two of his very engines will pretty much go on a race, and those two engines are Connor and Caitlin. And Connor asks Gordon and Spencer if they want to join. They say sure. They say yes, why not? And pretty much they have a race while Thomas and Stephen's watching on. And that's the end of the special. Overall, I loved it. It was awesome. It was so historic. Many references to the Railway series books, much like King Godred as one. And overall, I'm really satisfied with this. So yeah, sorry guys, I'm just adjusting the camera here. So yeah, overall, will I recommend watching this special? I'm going to have to say yes. It's a great special. You're not going to be disappointed by it, and overall, I am really satisfied with it. So, not much more I can say about it. It's awesome. You should watch it. Way better than the other specials I've reviewed in the past. By far, it exceeds all expectations. And obviously a more different style of writing and stuff than what we had in the past. A few years ago. So, in terms of the new characters, seeing Stephen was awesome. Connor and Caitlin were pretty awesome looking, and same with Millie. The new characters were pretty spanking. Like, they were pretty awesome. So yes, overall, I would highly recommend watching King of the Railway if you have the opportunity to watch it, or if you have the chance to, which I'm sure you will. So yes, that is my video review of the new Thomas and Friends special, King of the Railway. I will see you all very soon. I'll be back as soon as possible in the next video, and yeah, so take care, see you soon, have a great day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye!